pastors.
Thank you so much, my dear brother Bernard, and also to all of you dear ones who are on this platform today. Now, very briefly, I shared largely about how I met the Lord Jesus Christ and when, and then went on to some of the key things that happened in my life as a believer. And some of them, as I said, I did not know at the time that they were leading me to my destiny and to what we have today in terms of what I am doing. And I also mentioned that even despite doing those other things that I did, I still found time for ministry. I still found time for my family. With hindsight, I just wish I had more for the family. But from the little experience that God gave me, I was sharing how I tried to do all that. I also shared about the tragedies that I went through in terms of employment, being declared redundant twice, and once also losing a job because my employer was detained, went to detention, and suddenly I was left without a job, and how also God transitioned me to other things. I mentioned that during that time of losing that job, that it was a trying moment because we had just started buying a house in Buruburu Phase 4, and then it became a real challenge. But how God again moved with us through that. Now, today, I want to go to in terms of picking up from where I left, to the second last slide. Second last slide. And as Pastor takes us to that, I would like to mention that it was a journey in the wilderness. And that journey in the wilderness, as I mentioned, was part of the making and the building of the person that I continued to be in ministry, and of course today also being able to share with you from a true life experience. Yeah, so that would be the last. So just go back 2 slides. Yeah, and back one more step, my brother pastor. Right. I mentioned as I came to close last week, and I asked that please remember what David did to Uriah and what Delilah did to Samson. And I said that in the faith that we have today, whether we are in the church, whether we are in a Bible study, a Bible study group, or in the choir, in evangelistic missions, and more, there will always be those things that the enemy will throw at us in terms of temptations to compromise values, bribery just being one of them, lowering our standards when we come to parties. And I did mention to you what I've had to go through without running away, but going through, because many times you find not necessarily as a professional only, in any sphere of life. You don't have to be an accountant like myself. You don't have to be in public practice like myself. You don't have to be dealing with income tax things where there's a lot of cheating. like I do. You could be doing totally different things, but you will find that situations will always come your way, which may tempt you to lower the standards for Jesus Christ. And many times we think that if we stand out for Christ, that business that we do will go away. People will take away business from us. I might not be good enough for a Muslim to give business. I might not be good enough for an Asian or for some corrupt servant somewhere, whether in government or in the private sector, because these people are not just in government. Those who take money without working for it, they're there everywhere. But I mentioned that your testimony must be absolutely clear, son of God, child of God, my sister, my brother. Your testimony must be absolutely clear. And I've mentioned that is what I have done. I remember in March this year, I was attending our Europe, Middle East, and Africa meeting of Crow Global International in Tunisia. And those meetings, we normally have them in high-end hotels. And it must be in a high-end hotel. That's what they say. I don't mind either. But one thing happened where I had to make it very clear that this is not acceptable to me. When we were doing the final dinner in Tunisia, the equivalent of Intercontinental, but the one based in Tunis, there were all these people all over the place smoking and drinking and so on and so on. And of course, I was also at a table with other fellow managing partners from Crow Global. And of course, the issue is, am I going to sit here to see all these things going around me? And because you know what, child of God, my sister, my brother, if you are qualified by taking a stand which is clear for Christ, it won't take away your qualification from you. By the way, it will bring honor to Christ that you can be so qualified and be in this kind of forum, but still stand out. Stand out as the odd person, stand out because of the faith that you have. So I did tell our host, my colleague from Tunisia office, that, you know, I mean, this is not right. People should not be smoking while in places like this, and you should put smokers on one corner. He didn't listen, and this is what I did. I simply finished part of what I was eating. That I had not taken the main meal, took up my folder and left and went to my room. But I'd made it clear that there are things I will not take. Now, that is what it takes sometimes. But you know what? Has it changed me from being a certified public accountant? No. Has it taken away me being a fellow of the institute, which was given to me on merit? No. Has it changed my practice in Kenya? No. Has it stopped those people from contacting me for other things? No, it has not affected anything. But my position had to be very clear that there's a red line I will not cross. Now, I want to assure you that there are three things that as a professional, if you walk with and by and be clear about, you will still be respected for what you are, and the favor of God will still follow you. That I can assure you. There are three things. And in preaching, I've mentioned this many, many times in certain meetings. Kenyatta University, I think, was one of them many years ago. They are called the 3 W's. And I want, if you take nothing else from what I say today, take this. The 3 W's that you must fight, fight, fight. And even if you can't fight, the Holy Spirit, if you allow Christ to work and walk with you, you will be fine. The first W is wine, pombe. The second W is women. And the third W is what I call war. And the war I'm talking about is the fight that people normally have against themselves without being fought by anybody else. And people fight themselves so hard. When you see a person sitting in a nightclub up to midnight or up to 9 p.m. or up to morning, the fellow is at war with himself. He's fighting. And that is called luxury anasa in Swahili. The 3 W's. The Holy Spirit helping you, helping me with these 3 things. My brother, my sister, you will be fine. And the problem with this thing, when I say women, and you are a woman, you are hearing me, no, change that to men. Because in these meetings I normally go to and I give talks, whether it is on income tax, whether it is on risk management, whether it is on accounting rules, whether it is on auditing, whether I'm training people on all sorts of things. And I do this all the time in all sorts of places, Mombasa, Naivasha, Kisumu, everywhere, Nairobi many times. Some of you might be listening who are aware of that. But I see the same problem that men fall into, women also fall into, including married ones. And you find a woman who is so decent during the day or in the office, suddenly in the evening, she is so strange, not only in the manner and style of dress, but also in the talking. And is somebody's wife, but every other Tom, Dick, and Harry is touching her, and of course giving her what you might call compassionate slaps. But it is all evil and immoral. 3 things that every believer must avoid. And these things I picked reading many, many years ago, 20, 30 years ago, a book by Bill And number 3, situations where somebody's attempting to influence you to accept. And the boundary has to be clear. If it is no, it is no without a reconciliation statement. There's nothing to reconcile it. It's just no.
Wow.
Thank
you very much. Yeah, I believe it's clear. And if it's not, then the one who had asked could always come back and bring it forth. And thank you very much. Judge Wafula is saying, wow, Trufi's testimony adds more authority and authenticity to the message that we have received today. I would also want to read what Trufi has written here. Or maybe I could ask her to just say it. It's important. We have to learn from these things. Some of us are professionals with small families, and Trufi, maybe just tell us what you're talking about here, and it might be useful for some of us.
Okay, thank you again. I think what I just wanted to add were the 2 sayings that Dad continually told us around the table or when we were driving. One is that a good name is more precious than gold, because you can buy gold, but you cannot buy a good name. And number 2 is that if someone has done it, you can do it. And if no one has done it, you can be the first. So you have no excuse for not attaining anything in life, so long as you do it the right way. So you don't have to cheat, for example, to do it. You can do it you can make it in life without cheating. And I was also saying that we witnessed his testimony live because, for example, we saw him reading for his CPAs and his bachelors after work, going to class and coming home. After helping us with homework, we would leave him studying. And we witnessed it. So he was telling us work hard, but we also saw him working hard. We also saw and I've witnessed him working hard, and additionally saying no to things of compromise. For example, receiving, when you receive a first gift, it's a whole big hamper of goodies, including chocolate, sweets, and all that. Sometimes they do include a very expensive bottle of whiskey or wine. And because Dad says no to compromise, he will take that bottle and pour it down the drain and say, in fact, he will tell us, how dare those people bring me home and tell me that it is expensive. So I have witnessed and us witnessed Dad saying no, because then he was living an example right before our eyes. And just also to emphasize that what he would say is not right, you would witness he himself not doing it. So therefore, the expectation was both by what he said, but also by what he did. When he said you need to love people but hate what they do, he truly, we have witnessed him loving people. And many people who've come around him, everybody feels special because he makes you feel as an individual special, even though he may not like at all what you do. So thank you, Wari. That's what I wanted to add. Hope it helps somebody. And yes, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. This is very nice. I hope 20, 30 years down the line, I can have my daughter on such a forum and we together can do this. It's beautiful. Thank you, Trufi, for coming. It's such an awesome time. Bishop Erastus, you have taken some of us from colleges, like you took me from the vestry. I've seen you nurture people through internship and they become professionals. And the question, there's a huge complaint about what nowadays they're calling the millennials. And there are some young people here who are wondering, what advice, after being in this profession for almost these 40 or more years, can you give in just a brief way, these young people who are coming from college, struggling to fit in within the system, struggling to fit in within the professional space that is there, and struggling with would I say, the generation that is ahead? What would you have to say to them?
Very, very interesting question, Bernard. What I would want to say to the present generation is that you are the most blessed. But if you do the following: one, because there are so many of you, and most of this generation are reckless. Number two, there are people who like it easy. And because there are so many of them who like it easy, it is very easy to stand out by doing things differently, by being that person who is willing to go the next mile. How do you then succeed, whether you are becoming an accountant, a lawyer, or anything? Do some very simple thing. Accept to enter your profession, wherever, whatever it is, at the lowest possible level. Accept to start by doing work and earning nothing. I've had people ask, even me or some other place, but if I come as an intern, what will you pay me? So you look at the person, the miserable creature in front of you, who thinks he or she is qualified. And he said, oh dear, I pity this generation. Because somebody thinks that if you enter the profession, whatever profession, at a lower level, you owe it to them. Success will come your way if you can prove yourself to be extraordinary. Because there are so many of you, all you need to do is to be extraordinary. You will stand out. I can assure you, you will stand out. And you know what? If you have had somebody who is trying and doing all these things, and then you hear of a vacancy somewhere, I mean, who will you recommend? I will recommend this one, who has been trying and pushing, and of course learning as they do. In our office, and my colleague will confirm to you, we have, I think, 2 or 3 people who are watchmen. I don't know, you know, whether each one of you know who a watchman is. is entry into ministry. Because that was tough. I was 20-something when I became the pastor of a church and began to preach and open other churches between 1977 and 1984. But what I would do differently is that I would have gone for some training. Why? Because when I started the ministry with all the enthusiasm, I did not know that even in ministry, there is what you call jealous. And that fellow ministers would want to trip you and fail you. I would have preferred, and I would prefer and advise, get some training. Okay, what I did, like evening meetings, the charismatic renewal meetings and Bible studies and retreats helped me quite a bit. But that is something I would do differently. Number two, the timing and the length of time I took to make a decision whether to go back to class or not was too costly for me. I wish I had somebody who told me from the word go that please go straight, do your classes, finish your CPA, so that if you want to do something else, then you are able to get time to do it. I wish I had somebody who told me that. Let me stop it there. I would do that differently if I was to start all over again.
Okay. Thank you very much. And there's a final question that many young brethren, let me see, don't finish up college, they run to do business. What do you advise them? Also, they stop planning to do ministry. So you have young people, they either don't finish college or immediately they finish, they want to do business, they want to go into ministry and all that. What's your advice to them as we come to a conclusion?
Don't run into ministry before, one, you are trained, and I am glad I touched about it in answering Dr. Uma's question. Don't run into ministry because